For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. On infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections.
If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious.
Violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs, hurting businesses, and burning down buildings. They are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening.
Greetings, fellow thought criminals, and thank you for joining the insurrection. I'm Michael Lauber. This is Derrick Evans. Congress keeps getting crazier. We're on the verge of World War III, and there's a lot going on to talk about today.
Yes, there is, man. It's Hump Day. We're happy to have that too. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. As always, like, share, subscribe. If you're new to the show, leave comments, questions in the chat, and we will do our very best to read them and include you guys as part of the show.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Looney Tunes in D.C. never give us a break. So Rep. Nancy Mace says she'll never allow a man to bully her after trans activists issue death threats over Capitol bathroom bill. Congress is finally getting forced to deal with this on their home turf now that we've got this man pretending to be a woman that was elected to Congress somehow. I don't know what mental deficiencies they have to vote this person into office, but that's a call for another day. I also want to mention before we get too far into this story, if you even utter this person's real name on YouTube, they are pulling the videos down. And since Annie Cyrus is kind enough to allow us to stream to her platform, we can't mention this person's name, or there's a chance of getting her channel a strike. But this is sheer lunacy. And one thing I do find interesting is there are a fair number of Democrats that have chose to sit this fight out. There's plenty of loudmouth activists out there talking about it, and saying, "Oh, this is just an attack on trans people," blah blah blah, all the usual rhetoric we always hear. But a lot of them have decided to keep their mouths shut, which makes me kind of start to wonder if some of them aren't beginning to understand why they got shellacked in this last election.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, I think that a lot of them don't even agree with this. I mean, this is a thing, we're in a space last night, we were talking, and 80% of Democrats in Texas disagree with the transgender stuff, and roughly 70% of Democrats even in California, as what we were told. And I believe that. I believe 100% that the majority of people do not agree with this, even those on the left. And I tweeted yesterday, I believe it was early yesterday, I said, the simple solution is just to make Democrat and Republican bathrooms. Just have bathrooms where the Democrats they want to let this stuff happen, and they want to use a bathroom with a biological man pretending to be a woman. Then sure, go ahead. But he's not going to be able to go in here with all these other people. And I'll tell you right now, and I said this, and if I was in Congress and I saw this happen, me or him one would take a butt whooping. I wouldn't care. I mean, I'd go in there and drag him out by the hair of the head and drag him out of that bathroom. And I'm disappointed I'm disappointed that none of the other men in our Senate or Congress have actually said that, like on the national TV, on the stage. Like, that's like, they need to step up and lead by example and protect these women in Congress, their colleagues, and actually grow a pair and make an actual stand on this issue.
Oh, yeah. I like the idea of doing the bathrooms by party, because then maybe the Democrats could erase the women's bathroom like they did at the DNC convention, because you had the men's bathroom and then the non-binary freak bathroom. They got erased women again, just like they're trying to do with women's sports. But yeah, unfortunately, like, you know, even the statement that Speaker Johnson made was pretty weak, in my opinion. I expect him to cave, but, you know, maybe, hopefully I'm wrong. But yeah, like you said, I was a little surprised not to see more men stand up and say something. Instead, it's basically got left to Nancy Mace, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and, you know, I'm not sure that I saw any real statements. I mean, I saw some tweets in support, but from anybody else in Congress.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. I want to give a quick shout out to Marble and Caroline for Congress over here in the Twitter chat. Appreciate you guys for being here. And then I think we've got Pal248 in the Rumble chat. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, hanging out with us. Once again, man, the men in Congress need to be the ones who are leading this charge right now. I mean, and I don't mean by mean tweets. I don't mean by fundraising off of it or anything else. Like, they need to draw a line in the sand and say, if he goes in that bathroom with one of these women and I see it, I'm going to go in and I'm going to drag his butt out of there. And whatever the consequences are, we'll face it when that time comes. But this is not going to be allowed to happen. Where are the men on this issue, not just across the country, but specifically right now on this issue in Congress? Grow a backbone, grow a pair, and go do what you're supposed to do outside of politics and protect these women. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, exactly. If this guy goes into the women's bathroom, they should be worried about picking his teeth up off the floor.
Yeah.
And the fact that, like, people haven't even come forward to help, like, co-sponsor this bill or help drag it across the finish line, send a message that it isn't going to be tolerated. You guys control Congress. There's nothing they can do to stop it. Push the bill across, get it signed into law, and then when this guy breaks the law, have him arrested or whatever penalties were put in Mace's bill. Make sure that they're actually enforced. And again, fight aggressively. If the penalties are throwing this guy out of Congress, make sure that's done. Take this seat away. We can't play nice with these monsters.
Well, here's the thing. We have control of the House and the Senate, and this is a debate right now. Like, think about how weak Republicans really are, elected Republicans really are, that this is even a debate. They should have came out the moment that this even became an issue. They should have came out and issued a statement, you know, their little press conference, and simply said, this is not going to happen. There's no reason to talk about it. We're ending it today. We have the majority. This is not going to be an issue. It's squashed. And if he goes in there, I'm going to drag him out. Like, where is that? I mean, so the fact that they're even allowing this to play out, to me, almost seems like they are trying to allow this to fester so that the public gets more outraged. They can fundraise off of it, and then a couple of them will swoop in and then pretend that they're the hero and saved the day, when in all actuality, you should have been doing this from the get-go. I'm not going to give them, I'm sorry, but it's time to start holding these spineless jellyback rhinos accountable for their lack of action in Congress.
Exactly. A strong response up front would shut down the rest of these Democrats. Yeah, you'd still have a few, moonbats screaming about it, but it would send the message that this isn't going to be tolerated. We're not going to play games anymore. We won the election. We control the House. It's our rules, and you're going to follow them. We're not going to change common sense and what's been policy, I'm sure, in time immemorial. Just because this guy has a mental defect and wants to pretend he's a woman. So again, setting policy and setting tone, that will carry down further to other things too. It'll actually give some support to keeping men out of women's sports. And if the Democrats want to let this guy in their bathroom, whatever, and they want to put up, probably want to put a tampon dispenser in the men's room, whatever, and just humiliate them for it. Show how out of sync they are with the rest of the country and with common sense, logic, and science. This is an opportunity to stand up and put our feet down, and instead they're just, dilly-dallying around, not doing anything, not doing enough, in my opinion, at least.
Absolutely. I want to give a quick shout out to American Lucy over here in the Rumble chat. Says drain the swamp on both sides, and I have to agree. I mean, that's an issue right now that we have. Mama Rena in the Twitter chat is talking about how it's mind-boggling that more women aren't speaking up and taking a stand against this lunacy, and that's exactly right. But at the same time, as we've just been discussing a little bit, the ones leading the charge on this issue in Congress, our elected officials, are the women. Where are the men on this, man? Like this is a man planning to attack a woman and invade their privacy, and you have the men standing behind Nancy Mace and allowing her to lead the charge on this. It is despicable as far as I'm concerned right now. Like these men in Congress need to step up and do something, and I don't care what that something is. I think that it's potentially time to get physical with this dude if they need to, but something has to happen, and I'm really disappointed in them right now. It's not the way to go, and it's just beyond frustrating that we're even having these conversations. It's frustrating that our elected Republicans across the country have been so weak for so many years that we've even gotten to this point. I mean, man, you go back to our parents' generation when we were young kids, and we're not very long. Heck, you go back 15 years ago, and a man went into the bathroom with somebody's wife or daughter or grandmother. I'm sorry, but most men would self-identify as the tooth fairy and knock his teeth out. That's exactly what would happen. And now we're here at this point where everybody wants to tiptoe around this subject, allow this to happen. And it's gotten to this point because of complacency from men in our society allowing it to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the fact of the matter is, right now, and, I'm glad they're there, but a lot of the strongest voices we have in Congress are women, with Marjorie Taylor Greene, Anna Paulina Luna, Nancy Mace. There are guys that stand up and are willing to fight, like Byron Donalds, Matt Gaetz, and a few others. But yeah, we need more. We need real leadership. We need more people to step up, to be vocal, not back down, and not negotiate with evil, or we end up with more evil. Let's go ahead and pull our next story because, so breaking news: U.S. closes Kiev embassy due to potential significant air attack. Urges Americans in Ukraine to be ready to seek shelter. Obviously, this goes back to the Biden allowing and encouraging Ukraine to utilize missiles to strike within Russia's borders. And then apparently yesterday now we're sending a bunch of anti-personnel landmines. So they really are doing everything in their power to push Russia to respond to NATO, to respond in a way that will draw us into a regional conflict, possibly World War III. I mean, it's getting scary. They're getting desperate.
Yeah, and then how much was it that we sent yesterday? Was it 275 million or billion that we sent and more supplies to military stuff to Ukraine? Once again, I don't know how they did that. I don't know who instructed 275 million more to Ukraine without a vote, to my knowledge. Maybe it was previously voted on and already gave them authority to do this. I don't really know. Once again, we're the Republicans on this. I mean, guys, we're blaming the Democrats, which they should be. We're blaming Biden, which we should be. But a lot of these things were voted on. You got to remember for the last 2 years now, or last year, I should say, maybe two. 2. It's crazy to think about that. The last 2 years, Republicans have had control of the U.S. House, which is where the spending originates. That's the power of the purse. Republicans have had control of that. It's the Republicans who have to own right now, continuing to send and fund this money to Ukraine. And it's very disappointing that they continue to do so. And so I agree that Joe Biden is at fault for a lot of this, but at the same time, we also have to hold the Republicans accountable for also beating the war drums and getting us to this point. But now Joe Biden has definitely further escalated it over the last little bit. And to be honest with you, I think he needs to be impeached. I think there needs to be articles of impeachment filed against him for being basically a lame duck president over the next 2 months. And he is attempting to get us into World War III and escalate into World War III leading up to that. And I think it would at least show Russia that we have elected officials who are, fighting back against this and trying to prevent these things from happening.
Well, you're right. That's exactly right. Yeah, sending the message that not all of America is on this suicidal war path. That would mean something. Anthony Blinken is the one that just a few days ago said, they're going to squeeze every last dollar any way they can to get it to Ukraine. So this is something else that needs to be investigated. Did they pull money in any way that was illegal? And if so, we need to actually hold them responsible, because this is extremely dangerous for us and for the rest of the world. Unfortunately, a lot of these rhinos just, they're on their side. These people are evil. They want war. They want endless war. And they don't care about the human toll or the danger to every other country out there. Like, I'm sure, like, I know people in Poland and a lot of other countries in the region right now are shaking in their boots because they don't know how Putin's going to respond. If you're in Kiev, I mean, they're expecting something major to happen there. That's why we just shut our embassy down. Then we also have this. World at war. 2 undersea data cables destroyed in Baltic Sea between Finland and Germany and between Lithuania and Sweden. European officials blame Russian sabotage. However, that we don't have, again, this is going to be like the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. We don't have any actual evidence that Russian vessels were in the air. I know they're trying to track down a Chinese shipping vessel, which I guess is accidentally, supposedly, destroyed an undersea cable before by dragging its anchor. But, you know, who's to say this isn't like before? And maybe it was Ukraine or us that blew these up to try to get other European nations more involved in the war. Because at this point, I wouldn't put anything past them.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I'm going to give a quick shout out to Dan Dreyer in the Rumble chat, and then Saber K over here in True Social, watching live on True Social. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Look, first of all, even if Russia did destroy these data cables, they're at war right now. I mean, I'm sorry, but that would be better than nuking a bunch of innocent people. I'm just saying, like, if they did do that, I mean, that pales in comparison to the escalation that Biden did when he gave Ukraine the authority to launch our missiles into that. Once, as you pointed out yesterday, it wasn't like we just gave them the green light and said do it. Like, we had to give them the codes and everything in order to launch this. Like, we are actively involved in this thing, whether we like it or not. And you know, over here in the Twitter chat, Marvel says, "I hate Ukraine." And you know what? It's sad because this stuff that's been going on with our government pushing all this has made a lot of us. I feel the same way. At this point, to be honest with you, I could not care less. I don't care if Russia goes in and makes and destroys Ukraine and makes it a giant parking lot. I couldn't care less right now, to be honest with you, what happens over there, because we have our own issues to worry about here in America. We got our own people to take care of. We got our own border that's being invaded. We got, you know, all these issues going on in our own country. We got North Carolina right now who is still struggling, and people living in tents because their homes have been destroyed. And we got FEMA skipping over Trump supporters, all this others. I don't care what happens in another country right now. When we have our own house in order, we can start looking to help other people. But right now we need to take care of ourselves. And I feel that sentiment. I think a lot of people in America feel the same way in terms of where they pushed us to by putting Ukraine first over American citizens. It has made us have some resentment towards the entire situation that's taking place over there.
Well, at the end of the day, this is just a deep state effort to sabotage the peace that was beginning to break out around the world after President Trump's election. They don't want peace. They want an endless war to prop up the military-industrial complex and to prop up all their bank accounts from all the insider trading they're due as we wage war and cost lives around the world. This is none of our business between Russia and Ukraine. Trump spoke with both nations, and they have some kind of framework in place already. Maybe it's not a full-on peace deal yet, but I'm sure it would be by the time he was inaugurated, had we not stepped in and escalated things yet again. So the Biden regime, the deep state military-industrial complex, they can't allow for peace, and they're going to continue to push Putin for the next 60 days. And I just hope that he has the restraint not to respond with a nuclear warhead or by attacking another NATO nation and force us into a conflict. At the same time, Russia wants to save face, and they see this as now it's a direct strike on their people and a direct threat to their homeland.
Absolutely. A quick shout out to Kelly Dover in the True Social chat. Appreciate you for watching over there as well. And the Twitter chat popping off over here. Rose Turner says make inauguration day December 1st. I think a lot of us feel the exact same way in terms of that. Let's get it going. And then Dan Dreyer mentions in the Rumble chat, Ukraine launches UK supplied Storm Shadow missiles into Russia. This is from Bricks News. I guess this is breaking right now. Also long range missiles. So it's definitely escalating, and it is 60 days is a long time. And I think that, to be honest with you, I know the left's going to label me as a Putin sympathizer. For the record, I don't care what happens in Russia either, because I'm America first. But I think that I think Putin showed great restraint thus far, everything, all things considered. But 60 days is a long time. And if we're continuing to do that, I mean, at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, he has a duty to protect his people and protect his own country. And so I just hope that, as you said, that there's an open line of communication between, I know that there is between Trump and Putin, and Elon Musk involved in these conversations as well. We know. And so hopefully we can get him just to realize that this is all going to change January 20th. But man, it's a long time till then. And so I definitely think that people need to be prepared, pray for the best and prepare for the worst.
Yeah, exactly. And what we really have to pray doesn't happen is that there aren't strikes into Moscow, especially if they're with major numbers of civilian casualties. Because at that point, it really doesn't matter what kind of back channel communications are going on, or how Trump's trying to assure Putin that things will change once he assumes office. At some point, they'll have to retaliate, and the consequences are going to be just astronomical, I think. Because I think they're already backed into a corner, and we're continuing to escalate. And as you said, 60 days, a long time for us to continue to interfere over there. Putin several times now had red lines that Biden's continued to cross. Originally, you go back, it was, we won't deploy tanks. Then we deployed Abrams tanks. Then it was, advanced fighters. Then now it's missiles directly fired into Russia. So there's only so much that can be done, so much that can be tolerated before they're going to respond. Again, I'm not a Putin sympathizer or anything like that. I just want this conflict to end. I'm right there with President Trump. The human toll needs to stop. We need peace in the region again. We need to get back to making America and the rest of the world great again. Guys, we got to take a quick break here from our sponsors, and we're going to be right back with even more.
Hey, folks, it's your buddy John Rich here and co-founder of Old Glory Bank. Let me ask you a question. Why would you trust your banking with people that hate you? Well, you shouldn't. We're building a freedom economy, and now we have a pro-America bank. It's called Old Glory Bank. Check it out at oldglorybank.com and open yourself an account today.
Old Glory Bank is a full-service, FDIC-insured online bank with business and consumer banking and customers in all 50 states. It takes just 8 minutes to open an account at oldglorybank.com.
I couldn't give anything a higher endorsement.
I would be remiss had I not include Cardio Miracle on my very short list of secrets.
It's the real deal. It's a real product. It's not another supplement.
I'm operating about 6 to 8 hours, and I've noticed that being on this Cardio Miracle has made a huge difference.
Since I started taking Cardio Miracle about 8 months into it, the benefits have been fantastic.
If I get hungry, then I just have a Cardio Miracle.
Not only is it safe, but it's necessary to take Cardio Miracle to stay well.
This let me sleep. It's filling up more energy, more get up and go, and it's all because of what this company does.
For me as a doctor, Cardio Miracle is a staple.
Cardio Miracle to me is hope in a glass.
To try Cardio Miracle for yourself and get a special fan discount, go to the host page right now and click the link for Cardio Miracle.
Thank you for staying with us. And, with the Make America Healthy, again, agenda coming in, and RFK Jr. hopefully taking over and rebuilding this corrupt National Institute of Health, CDC, and everything else, it's time to start considering what we can do to make ourselves healthy again. And Cardio Miracle is a good option to try. And again, it's a good way to support Patriots, Patriot TV, and to help keep programs like this on the air for you. Well, Trump's gutting the FBI and restructuring it and exposing corruption is obviously a very high priority. And we're getting signals now that the G-man, as in gone, Trump moves to axe FBI Chief Wray. And Lord, I would love to see Kash Patel in that role. I think that's who belongs there and who can help us not only expose the corruption, but restructure or eliminate the FBI. Personally, I think it just needs to be burned to the ground. That I don't think there's anything worth saving there, to move the few useful departments out to other leadership, other management, and eliminate most of this corrupt federal law enforcement, and instead focus on what's actually good for America.
No, I agree with you 100%. I mean, we need to completely get rid of it. But I do think there's probably some a good reason to actually keep it intact for at least a few months, to get in there and have somebody like Kash Patel leading that charge. And so they can get in there and just kind of see all the corruption that was taking place in there, get all this information. And that way there's probably some valuable information in there on a lot of different issues that's been happening under that administration over the last few years. And then not only do we need to abolish these unconstitutional 3-letter agencies, we need to crush them to the point that they can never return. We don't ever want them to rear their ugly heads ever again. Like, abolishing them is not good enough as far as I'm concerned. Abolish it and burn the buildings to the ground, completely decimate them. Like, no shot of ever coming back ever again. That's what needs to happen in terms of all this. But it's a good step in the right direction, getting rid of Chris Wray.
Yeah. Now, technically, he is going to have to, I believe, step down on his own. He's certainly serving a 10-year term as FBI director. But if he's willing to step down on his own, that's what needs to happen. Because otherwise, well, we need to go through there and investigate just about everybody in upper management, any of the leadership in the FBI. We need to scrutinize everything they did, and anywhere where they violated the law, whether that's with FISA warrants or enforcing illegal directives or whatever else that's gone on, knowingly targeting J6 defendants or prospective J6 defendants that already had verified alibis, things like that. There needs to be some accountability, and there need to be some arrests too. If the enemy doesn't feel pain, they're never going to stop. And right now, this isn't about political oppression or anything that the media is already starting to spin up and say that it is. This is about justice, and this is about reining in the unbridled, out of control Department of Justice.
Absolutely. We'll give a quick shout out to FG over here in the Getter chat. Appreciate you for being there. And look, honestly, I don't care what the media says. I don't care if it is political, motivated.
Targeting.
I don't care.
Yeah.
After what they put us through over the last little bit, I don't care. So my question, and it's probably a dumb question, I don't know, but like, he's in the middle of a 10-year term. Is this a position that can be impeached by a Republican-controlled Congress and Senate if he refuses to step down? I don't know that answer. I'm truly curious because I don't know. I mean, it's funny because like every 4 years, we all get a re-education on our social studies in terms of a lot of these positions and how they work, who's appointed, who they answer to, all that, because you kind of forget about them, and not that you forget about them, you forget the process and how they're appointed, because once again, it's so big, there should not be all these appointments to make to even deal with. But so that'd be interesting to find out. And then at the same time, that you have the guy that said he's going to refuse to step down from the Federal Reserve. Jerome Powell, is that his name?
Yeah, Jerome Powell. The Federal Reserve is about as federal as Federal Express. So, I mean, technically, they're a private entity.
Exactly, but that should be even further reasoning for President Trump to bring Ron Paul in and end the Federal Reserve, end it completely, because he obviously, and I'm glad that he said that, because there's so many people who thought it was truly federal. And he openly said that he answers to nobody. So why are you in charge of our money when you answer to nobody at the end of the day? So like, we've got to end that. And I think it would only be, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess justice, or well served, to let Ron Paul be the one who puts that stamp of approval on ending the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, if anybody's earned the right to do that, it's definitely Ron Paul. But you're right. Like, I'm sure there's a process for removing an FBI director. I just don't know what that would be. But it's also interesting that it's not that the FBI has never been politicized before this, but up until maybe the last 20 years, you had plenty of directors that served both parties that were there to do their job. That it wasn't like today. The level of corruption that we see, where they are completely now just a tool of the deep state. I think that is a more recent development within the last 20 years, but maybe I'm wrong about that. But the fact of the matter is, it's completely out of control now, especially with the promotion of these DEI hires into management and just the direction that they've gone in general. That unfortunately they've outlived their usefulness. They need to be reined in, eliminated, and we can take the useful departments that are there and strengthen them. Having an investigatory agency to target, say, interstate child trafficking rings, things like that might be useful. But again, we need a watchful eye on them. We need repercussions if they're ever wielded as a political weapon again.
Well, quick shout out to Sean over here in the Getter chat as well. Appreciate you. Here's the thing. So we have to abolish these unconstitutional 3-letter agencies, and especially the FBI. And anybody who pushes back against that and says, no, there's a reason to keep them, we should just quickly remind them that our FBI sat in church parking lots during COVID and wrote down license plates of people who actually decided to go worship and at a church during COVID. So there is no reason to keep this agency open. We need to completely abolish it. We need to take the building down brick by brick and completely destroy it to where they never, ever have an opportunity to come back again. We need to not only abolish it, we need to destroy them and dare them to ever even think about re-implementing this terrible, unconstitutional program. And once again, anybody who says otherwise, remind them they sat in church parking lots during COVID, and innocent people just showing up to church to worship that were put on a list. That is, they're honestly, the FBI is a domestic terrorist organization at this point, and they need to be treated as such. Shut them down.
Yeah. Now we need to keep a watchful eye over there and everywhere else in the DOJ. Make sure no records are being destroyed. And if they are, it's time to prosecute. What's going on here? Paper shedding truck spotted outside Department of Justice building days after Trump announces Matt Gaetz' attorney general nomination. And it isn't just the DOJ. They've had these trucks show up at other places trucks to shred and destroy electronic devices. So we know they're eliminating records. We know there's a cover-up that's being implemented right now, and anybody that participated in that, they need to be jailed. You know, a lot of these underlings, your day-to-day suit and tie worker for the federal government, these employees, they don't have the money for a large legal defense. It's like going after the mob. So anybody that participated in this and illegally shred records, we need them to talk. We need to make arrests, and we need to do this immediately. This should be a high priority item right after, January 21st. They should be going in, figure out who destroyed what. Anybody that illegally destroyed records or destroyed records that are needed in future investigations, grab them right then, start pressing charges. We need to make these people sweat so that they're not able to cover up everything that the illegitimate Biden regime has done over the last 4 years.
Oh, I agree 100%. Shout out to Truth Social, a boomer in the Rumble chat. Appreciate you for being here. They need to put out a statement right now. Basically says anybody who we find out has been shredding documents, it's illegal, it's a felony, you're going to be held accountable. And there is going to be no pass of saying, I was just doing my job, I was just following orders. That is not acceptable answer. If you are participating in the destruction of documents, you are going to be held accountable to the fullest extent. And that's what they need to do. They need to make examples out of these people. They need to go after them and do that. And honestly, I think that they need to go after the company that's supplying them right now with these things, knowing that they're doing what they're planning to do. It's conspiracy to destroy documents, the government documents, and preventing an incoming president from getting his hands on that. So I think they need to. It's time to stop playing nice with these people. We need to go after all of them the way that they've been doing to all of us, in terms of the higher ups, the people who are breaking the law.
Well, yeah, and even just the threat of that would get at least these companies to think twice. And, if you are a staffer at the DOJ, if you're I don't care what your role is, if you're being ordered to illegally destroy documents right now, or you suspect that's the case, blow the whistle, go right to the media, do something to put the brakes on this. Even if there's the threat of charges now from the Biden regime for stepping forward, I'm sure that if you were trying to do the right thing and warn the public about documents being destroyed, evidence of wrongdoing being destroyed, I'm sure there'd be a pardon in your future if the Biden regime charged you now. Because somebody needs to step up and do the right thing. We can't allow them to just destroy the evidence of wrongdoing and just, this is another step for all the lives that they've destroyed over the last several years, from J6 defendants to people protesting abortion to others that they've used the police power of government to threaten, bully, and stomp out their voice.
Absolutely. That's exactly what needs to happen. I have no doubt that the President Trump would not only take care of those people, but they would, if you're watching this and you're an FBI person, you were a hero. You'd be a patriot for doing the right thing and actually blowing the whistle on this. But once again, man, it is so corrupt. It's unbelievable. Who knows what kind of documents they're shredding right now, whether that's J6 related, whether that's COVID related, whether that's related to the attempted assassinations of President Trump, whether that is communications that was leading up to the raid on Mar-a-Lago that kicked a lot of this stuff off against President Trump. There is so much that we need to get to the bottom of right there, that they're destroying that evidence, and they need to be held accountable for it. There should be no patty cake politics with this. There should be no passes, no soft-heartedness. These people are evil, and they need to be held accountable.
Yeah. Well, the Democrats play to win, and we don't even show up to the game most of the time. Democrats make last-minute push to confirm controversial Biden-Justin nominees during lame duck session. We're going to pull our next hot headline here. DeSantis is once again stepping up down in Florida. Florida, Alabama, and Georgia will suffer from the consequences. DeSantis slams GOP no-shows after Senate confirms Biden's 11th Circuit judge pick. And again, DeSantis gets it. We've got to stand in the way of this stuff. Like we have the power right now to put the brakes on this, but these useless rhinos in the Senate won't do anything about it. I don't care how the media covers it. It doesn't matter. We just had an election. We have new people coming in. Any that are already stepping out, that was already the deal. It is not time to play nice. They had 4 years to get these judges through and have real hearings and a real nomination process. Allowing them to push these through at the last minute is giving them control that we don't have to cede to them.
So another silly question on my part. Number one is this a simple majority vote, or is it more than majority on this? So that's the first question I guess I would have. And then the other question is, if you're going, do we have a list of the senators who does the article list, or does anybody out there have a list of the senators who, I'm sure we can get it. It's all public record on the votes of who decided not to show up. I think that would be important information to have as well. Maybe we can try to cover that in the future, even if it's just very quickly. But the other thing is, like, if some of you are not going to show up, I would actually support that if the entire GOP said we're not showing up, because then they don't have a quorum and they can't vote to do any of this. That's something that the Democrats would do. Do we not have a single senator who has the guts to go pull a fire alarm, for goodness sakes? That's what they do on all this stuff. So, be creative, grow a backbone. All of you just say we're not showing up. We got other things to do. And they don't have a quorum. They can't approve these people. But that's proof that we have a uniparty. These Republicans are in bed with these Capitol Hill Republicans are in bed with the Capitol Hill Democrats. And they would much rather have those uniparty. These are not Democrat appointed judges. These are uniparty appointed judges. And they would much rather have that person than a Republican or a conservative.
Yeah, and I don't know that this requires a 50 or 60 vote majority. It would if we had people standing up and trying to stop this, and then they wouldn't be able to push anybody through. But I guess that's kind of the point. Instead, we're just approving it, letting it go through, treating it like business as usual, when the last 10 years tell us this cannot be treated as business as usual. So, yeah, the fact of the matter is they're not willing to fight. They're not willing to take the steps that need to be taken right now and hold this off. President Trump has gotten involved now recently and told them to show up, hold the line. Trump urges Republican senators to block Biden's radical leftist judicial nominees. The fact that for them to do anything, President Trump has to highlight is just sick. They should already know the direction, already know what the people want, and stand there and actually fight for it instead of just bowing down to whatever Biden and his surrogates want and letting us to continue just getting rolled over.
And what about a filibuster? There's so many ways that they can do to prevent these things from happening, or at the very least slow it down. So they've done 11 since election day. Like, they might not be able to prevent all of them with filibusters and all of that, but instead of 11, it could be 3. That's still a huge win. That's putting speed bumps out in front of there. I'm telling you right now, if I was in the Senate and this was going on, and I think most of the people watching the show feel the same way. I'd wear a catheter if I had to. I wouldn't use a bathroom. I'd stand on that floor until my knees collapsed to prevent this stuff from happening. And then I would immediately hopefully have a colleague who would do the same thing and just tag them in, and you could go collapse and they could. That is what is necessary right now. That is what American people, the average American citizen, average MAGA Trump supporter, would be willing to go to those lengths to actually accomplish some of these things. But the Republicans in the Senate right now are complete, total spineless, man. Just completely spineless and don't have a care in the world for what's going on, and they don't have the courage to actually step up against this, probably because their donors want those judges to be appointed.
That's what it comes down to, is a lot of these big donors want us to play nice with the Democrats, want part of the liberal agenda to get through. And unfortunately, too many of our leaders lack the courage to take a stand. Because like you said, we could schedule 4-hour filibusters for every GOP senator on a rotating schedule from now till inauguration day, and just completely take down that House, not allow them to push through anything. It doesn't matter how mad the media gets about it right now, because let's use the left's logic. The voters will have forgotten about this in 2 years when you're up for election again, so it won't matter. But most of you, instead, that will be a badge of honor, something you can declare yourself a hero for standing in the way of this, ramming these judges through at the last minute. And yeah, you're right. Yeah, maybe one or two of these would have got through on their own that were okay candidates or whatever. I'm sure. Well, I don't know. It's the left. I'm sure they were all activists, but. The point is we put you there to do something, so do it. Otherwise, I think there's going to be a lot more people primaried and a lot more people pushed out in 2 years, that a lot of the voters, we've found our stones, and it's time for Congress to find theirs.
Absolutely. Well, I think that the voters would remember in 2 years, and they would remember and reward you greatly for doing something like that, especially if you're from one of these safe red states. I actually can understand if somebody from one of the senators from the swing states didn't do that, because it would maybe hurt them from getting reelected in the future. We would need them, but there's way more than enough senators from safe red MAGA states that could lead the charge on this. And actually, as you said, they could do 4-hour blocks or whatever. It wouldn't take a whole lot to do this, but they just don't have the courage to actually do it. And it's so frustrating, because these are exact things that the Democrats, I despise the left. I cannot stand them. But the one thing that I actually wish that we could take out of their playbook would get some elected officials who have some fight in them the way that they do, because we don't have people who's willing to do that. And it's absolutely unacceptable. That they need to be using the filibuster and everything else right now that they possibly can to prevent these things from happening, or at the very least slow it down. And they're not doing it. They're just helping, and they're aiding and abetting. These senators are aiding and abetting Joe Biden to appoint these judges at this point. So it's even worse.
You know what? They should take this and use it as an opportunity. They could read all this degenerate filth they're trying to put in school libraries right now. Take that to the floor, read that for your filibuster, hand it off to the next person. And when we run out of degenerate filth to read, read the Federalist Papers. That'll eat up a couple days by itself.
Absolutely.
But, the fact of the matter is these guys won't fight back, and we need fighters in D.C. No more cowards. Guys, we got to take another quick break, and then we'll be back with even more.
Now we have it. Kingdom Crunch.
It's important to start breakfast off with a power-packed punch. You want a complete amino acid score, good protein. If you turn the label over and look at the back of the box, there is no added sugars in either one of these flavors, either peanut butter or acai bowl.
Peanut butter has 11 grams of high-quality protein. Acai bowl has 8. Peanut butter has 11 grams of carbohydrate. Acai bowl 12. And both of them have good, solid fat content at 6 grams. Very filling, very healthy.
You will be fueling yourself with high-quality fuel, starting off the day right. You can even use Kingdom Crunch as a snack in the middle of the day if you just have a craving and you want to eat something that is good for you. It has a crunch and doesn't have a lot of calories.
There you go. Diabetic friendly, keto friendly, paleo friendly, Kingdom Crunch, and
child friendly.
Hey, Patriot TV fans, feel like there's nothing on the radio for like-minded, intelligent people like yourself? Well, great news. Now you can stream Patriot TV on TuneIn during your drive to or from work. Whether you're stuck in traffic or cruising down the highway, you can catch every conversation from your favorite show hosts right in your car. No more mindless jibber-jabber. Tune in 24/7 on the road, at the gym, or wherever you are. Download the free TuneIn app now on Apple, Android, or your computer and never miss a beat. Patriot TV, now on TuneIn.
And guys, thank you for staying with us. And again, you can help support Patriot TV by supporting our sponsors, TuneIn Radio, and by getting healthy, by getting back in the fight, and keeping yourself healthy by supporting our sponsors and helping to support this program. Sorry, I bit my tongue in the middle of that. We do have the House actually taking some positive steps forward right now. Exclusive House Republicans declare war on woke banking controls. And I think this is a much bigger deal than a lot of people are looking at it. This is when we hear over and over about people being debanked for their political beliefs, that this is an opportunity to end this DEI practice and this, not DEI, it's on the tip of my tongue, the woke banking initiatives that are looking at social governance, environmental governance, all these target issues for the left, and then ranking businesses on that and determining whether they will work with them or not. We need to put an end to that discriminatory practice. We should not have banking politicized. It needs to be something that's open to everyone.
Well, I'll tell you, man, this is, first of all, I'm glad they're finally doing it. Once again, Republicans have been in control for 2 years, haven't taken this issue up until now, but thankfully they finally are. I was debanked after January 6th. And I was actually just talking to somebody about this the other day, about how everything I went through January 6th, probably one of the most, the hardest parts of that whole thing was being debanked. It was awful, and I'm still debanked from a lot of places. There's a lot of places that, I mean, I have good credit. A lot of places I can't open up accounts because the business works with a bank who refuses to bank with me. So I'm not able to. So it's bigger than just, like, I know a lot of people think when you get debanked that, oh, you just go to a different bank. Well, it's much bigger than that. So Chase Bank debanked me. And so whoever they do business with, I can't do business with them. I can't get a line of credit or whatever through those places if they use that bank because I'm debanked there. So it's much bigger than just, oh, you just go to another bank and open up a checking account. It's so much bigger than that. And that's what they're doing right now. And it's been brutal. It's been very hard in more ways than I could ever explain probably. So this is a major issue in our country, and it definitely needs to be looked into, needs to be fixed. And thankfully, we do have alternative choices now, because at the time when it first happened to me, there was no Old Glory Bank. Thankfully, we have an Old Glory Bank now where you can do that. But still, once again, it's not just about having your bank account there or associated with that. That was hard enough. We have everything set on auto pay, and all of that was gone. We had to remortgage our home and all these other issues. But it's, like I said, it's so much bigger than that. Once you get through that phase of getting all this stuff transitioned over to another bank, it never leaves you. Because once again, so a lot of people know I do real estate. And so, like Home Depot, for instance, the bank that Home Depot uses won't bank with me. So I can't do a lot of business there. It's not Home Depot, for the record. Anadot, when I was running my campaign, I can't get an account to raise money through Anadot because the bank that Anadot uses will not bank with me as a January 6th political prisoner. And so this is, once again, I've been turned down for so many loans because of the individual bank with that company refuses to do business with me. And all because of January 6th, nothing else. I have good credit. It's none of those issues. And sometimes they'll even open up the account and I think, oh, thankfully, it went through. And then I receive a letter in the mail within a month and they've canceled it. Or my wife, we thought this was over with. My wife had a credit card that she's had for a long time. We thought all this was over with in terms of the banking and everything. She added me as onto the card, and then instantly within the first month of me being on the card, the entire thing was canceled because I was on there. All that was the only reason. That just happened within like the last 3 to 4 months. That just took place. So this is a major issue that is so much bigger than anybody really knows, and not a lot of people are really familiar with it. And hopefully we can get this fixed moving forward so other conservatives don't get treated the same way.
And can you imagine what we'll be hearing right now if this were reversed? The left would be absolutely apoplectic if they were getting debanked for showing up at George Floyd riots or whatever. But so yeah, we need to put an end to this political discrimination within banking. If you're not going to allow somebody to bank with you because of previous fraud issues or overdrafts, non-payments, things like that, I totally understand. I think that should be within the right of the bank to refuse service to somebody that doesn't pay their bills or takes out loans and doesn't repay them. But when it comes to political discrimination, we can't allow that, because you can't function in today's modern society without access to a debit card or credit card or a place to deposit your paycheck. So it cannot be allowed. And the left uses everything as a weapon. This isn't about anything other than political discrimination and making life difficult for conservatives, because that's how they think. So there need to be consequences. If any laws were violated throughout these processes, then there needs to be firm enforcement, and then rules need to be put in place to ensure that this can't happen again to anybody on either side of the political aisle. Banks should not be determining who their customers will be based on political, just like they shouldn't be basing things on skin color or gender or anything else. They should not be allowed to discriminate politically.
Oh, yeah, and also every time you make a purchase, like with your card, those things have a code attached to it. And so we also have found that some of these banks were refused. You had the money in your account, okay, in your checking account. You go to try to buy a gun or ammunition or something like that, and that code pops up, and the bank refuses to process the payment. So they're literally, the bank is being weaponized against the Second Amendment on people, and it's bad enough that they were doing it first and putting people on a list for having that, but they've now been denying the purchase of people with your own money that's in the account. And because that code for a weapon or ammunition pops up, they refuse to allow it to go through. And so that's happened to quite a few people as well. And so this is insane that this is happening. And once again, banks are different than a private small business of some sort, because there's so many regulations to become a bank and to be approved to have a bank. And they get, there's all these FDIC insured and all this other stuff. So there's a lot of government and private interweaving when it comes to a bank. It's so much different than Walmart just saying you're not allowed to shop here. I actually, believe it or not, I would support Walmart's freedom to tell me I'm not allowed to shop there if as a January 6th political prisoner. If they wanted to do that, I support their freedom as a private business owner to do that. But when you have these things intertwined with the federal government and the banking system the way it is, and they've got it stamped out to where a normal person can't open a bank to really have a free market, that's a lot different. And so there needs to be some major changes to fix these issues moving forward.
You brought up a really interesting point there, because a lot of this goes back to the Biden regime. They were getting banks to debank gun manufacturers, firearms companies, ammunition companies, things like that, by basically whispering in their ear, telling them there would be problems if they continue to do business with them. And again, the government should not be stepping in and discriminating against one company or another, or forcing, using the police power or the strong arm of government to manipulate the private sector in this way. We've got to put rules in place to make sure this doesn't happen again, or when somebody tries it again, that there's consequences. It's not who we are as a nation, and it shouldn't be allowed to go forward. I want to get to this next story here before we run out of time. Marjorie Taylor Greene threatens GOP colleagues over ethics probe. Put it all out there. Obviously, everybody knows the minute Matt Gaetz was up for Attorney General, everybody knew there was going to be a leak from this fake ethics investigation on him. Of course, it magically finds a way. Some mystery hacker leaks it out. In reality, we know that they put it out there intentionally to try to prevent Matt Gaetz's nomination from moving forward. They're scared, but if they're going to leak out these ethics reports, maybe we need to see all of them. In fact, I think we do need to see all of these reports. Well, what else have Congress members been doing behind our backs that we don't know about?
That's a great point. And I'll tell you this. So keep in mind, so the DOJ has been so weaponized against conservatives, and we're all well aware of that. So weaponized DOJ with everything with January 6th and peaceful protesters outside of abortion clinics, President Trump, Steve Bannon, all these things that the weaponized DOJ has done. And the DOJ actually did an investigation into these claims against Matt Gaetz, a weaponized DOJ, a DOJ with blood in their mouth, ready to get Matt Gaetz for anything they possibly could. And the DOJ, the weaponized DOJ, came back and could not file charges because not only was there no evidence, there was not even enough evidence that they could attempt to twist this into a charge of some sort. So when we say there was squeaky clean, no evidence, there was no evidence, because if there was even a tiny little hint of it, they would have twisted that evidence and brought some sort of made up, ridiculous charge to at least bring it out there to smear him in the public and make this go through an appeals process, knowing they're going to lose it. So the weaponized DOJ didn't even have enough to do that. And so that tells you all you need to know in terms of the innocence of Matt Gaetz. And I love seeing them freak out over this, because at the end of the day, they are absolutely terrified of Matt Gaetz becoming the Attorney General, because he knows where the bodies are at, and he's a bulldog, and he knows that they know that he is not going to be someone that they can buy off. He's not someone that's going to back down, and they know that he's going to come after all of them and expose them within the law and do it the right way. And that's what has the deep state scared to death right now.
Oh, exactly. And we need more Republicans out there voicing that, to mention that these witnesses lacked credibility to the extent that they couldn't corroborate their stories, their timelines, anything, that they basically knew that this whole story was fictitious. They also need to be screaming from the rooftops that the FBI agents involved in this investigation were trying to solicit bribes from Matt Gaetz so that they wouldn't bring the story out, bring out more information. So again, this also just shows the systemic corruption within our entire Department of Justice, the FBI, and everyone else, that it's all about a narrative. They tried to entrap him. It didn't work. And now they're pretending that this is something that is. It's no different than pencil neck Schiff going out there, holding these papers, pretending he had the goods on Trump, and the walls were closing in. They were finally going to get them. Everybody knows this is fake. It didn't go anywhere. It crashed and burned 2 years ago, but now all of a sudden they want to pretend there's some kind of substance in there, and there isn't. They just leak out salacious details to try to take away support the public may have for Gaetz there, and try to condemn him without a hearing. That's the bottom line, is they just don't want enforcement of any kind. They don't want Matt Gaetz there. Like you said, he's not going to back down, and he's going to fight for justice for all of us.
Absolutely, they're terrified. I love it. It's awesome watching this, and look, it's going to happen with every appointment. Doesn't matter who President Trump's appointing in this go around. They're not going to be happy with it. We don't need to be compromising on any of these things. Oh, if you want Matt Gaetz to be the Attorney General, then you need to appoint this person to this position. No, President Trump needs to remind John Thune and the Senate Republicans that he's the one that won this election. He's the one that has the mandate from the American people. He's the one that has the support of the American people. And they can either play ball and push President Trump's agenda through, or Trump's going to come out and endorse against every single one of them the next time they're up for re-election, and they can kiss their political career goodbye, because that's where we're at right now. And President Trump, I hope that he realizes, I don't think he truly understands the political power that he has in a lot of these safe red states, that in a lot of these states, whoever wins the Republican primary wins the general election. Same with for a lot of these congressional districts. And guess what? Whoever President Trump endorses in those races wins the Republican primary. President Trump could come to West Virginia. He could pick a homeless person out from underneath a bridge that nobody's ever heard of. He could endorse this person, and they're going to win the race. I mean, Wyoming's probably the same way. The Dakotas, I'd imagine. And that's the way that it is. And I wish President Trump would actually understand that, grasp that, and start wielding and using that. I don't want to say power, but basically that advantage to start getting people in there who's going to do the right thing and push his agenda forward.
Yeah. Oh, guys, I do have some good news. We're almost out of time here, but FEMA has investigated FEMA, and FEMA determined that FEMA did not do anything wrong. So yeah, we had hearings yesterday. They're saying that this corruption about ignoring Trump supporters in Florida and North Carolina, that didn't come from higher ups. Obviously, we need a real investigation, because I'm sure that is not the truth, that it wasn't one lone supervisor taking it upon herself to tell them to skip the houses with Trump flags, especially when we've heard from other people that this also occurred in North Carolina. But guys, I want to encourage everybody, once again, go to Amazon, pick up Hannah Faulkner's new book, help her to get to #1 over there. Stay tuned to Patriot TV. She'll be up next. Guys, please like, share, and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. And we'll be back again tomorrow with even more.